Right everyone, WeaponCollector here, and Liam, and this is going to be our Q&A video. Right, Tactical Pirate asked, blonde or brunette, and is a valve optional? I'm assuming he means blow up doll there. I don't know. His real question was favourite knife and why.
Out of all the knives I've got at the moment, my favourite one, in the sense of it just being a knife, is probably the Fairbairn Sykes. But in terms of the one I use the most, probably, and I don't have it on me today because I didn't take it to travel down here, either the Ganzo lock knife I've got, or the one I bought off of you, the Tangram Amarillo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because they're actually practical lock knives for sort of everyday, although, you know, you can't legally EDC them without an excuse, but, you know, if you do need them for something, then they're very good knives for that.
Yeah, funny thing is, mine would be the Fairbairn Sykes probably, but it's very difficult for me to answer what's your favourite knife. My probably most used knife at the minute is this one, which is Ganzo Spyderco copy. Yeah, maybe got to be the Fairbairn Sykes, I suppose. We leave it at that, otherwise I'll be going on for ages. Right, Sam asked, what is each of your biggest strengths and weakness in shit at the fan prepping? What do you do to work on the weakness and maintain strength?
Right, well, I definitely know my biggest weakness would be ulcerative colitis related sort of health failures, because, as I've probably said quite a few times on my channel for the people who've watched it, if I don't get the medication, my health starts deteriorating, and it doesn't have long expiry dates on it, and, you know, you can't get that much of it. So that would be my biggest weakness. In terms of strength, I'm quite good at remembering stuff, if that counts. So the only way I could probably lessen the weakness of lack of medication is trying to eat very healthily and carefully in the hope it would sort of cause less problems. But otherwise, not much I can do about that, I'm afraid.
No, I think my weakness would be fitness at the minute. So definitely need to work on it, and I am working on that anyway. I want to lose weight and get fitter. You know, you're always at your best the fitter you are anyway, aren't you? And strength for me would probably be I am quite good at making things. I can make and improvise things quite easily, really, naturally, because I've been doing it all my life, sort of thing. So I can do those things quite easily, really. But yeah, I suppose that's answered that way, isn't it? Tony, Constantinople, said, who would beat who in a classic game of multiplayer GoldenEye? And he reckons he would win if he was against us. Have you ever played GoldenEye?
Very briefly, so I reckon you'd win at GoldenEye, but I reckon if it was Time Splitters, I'd win.
Yeah.
But they're very similar.
I was going to say, I reckon I definitely would win GoldenEye because of how much I played it. But I reckon if you had a month on it, you'd probably start beating me then. We used to play GoldenEye every single day. So there you go, Tony. And Tony, I reckon I beat you. I was good enough to get instant headshot kills.
What was that gun in GoldenEye that did barely any damage that shot really fast that everybody...
I don't know, because there was loads. There was like, you had the PPK, you had the P90, I think, FMP90. There was loads. You had the golden gun. That was very slow.
The instant kill one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think there was one that was like, had a name like Kloben or something. It was like a Russian one, but it was like a really fast firing one, but did like no damage, and it was a bit of a joke then.
You know what, I can't remember now. Prep for It said, what book, TV series or movie would you recommend to a person just getting into survival or DIY weapons or preparedness?
Right, in terms of a book, what I can recommend is there's a book called Combat, and I'm pretty sure the author was Len Calcutt, I think it was how it's pronounced, and sadly he's dead now, because I actually had one of his relatives contact me on the review I did of the book to let me know that. But that's a very good book that's sort of a compilation and expanded on a lot of military training manuals. So it has stuff about sort of survival as in how not to catch diseases and things when you're out in the field, and, you know, mistakes not to make that would get you shot and things like that. So it's an all-round quite a good book that's just made from lots of different training manuals to sort of simply get to the point of a lot of those things.
I've never actually heard of that. I'll have to watch a review on that. Is that an old video or something?
A few years ago, yeah.
I must have missed that one. you know, I would always say the SAS Survival Handbook. I can't really think of a lot of others in that kind of line. And also that Home Guard book would be good for shit hit the fan, I think. But yeah, you can't go wrong with the SAS Survival Handbook. He did say sort of survival, yeah, get into survival. But most people have read the SAS Survival Handbook, I think. That's like a first go-to, anyway. But definitely that. Leonard Christopher, he said, my question to both of you is, what is your favourite or most memorable video of all the ones you've each uploaded?
Right, the problem I have often is the videos I think I've put a lot more effort into, YouTube doesn't think so and doesn't share them as much. So, ones that have the most views aren't necessarily my favourite ones that I've made. But I think out of all the videos I've made, some of my favourite ones have probably been some of the gas mask tests where I'm coughing and spluttering, where, you know, it's not worked properly or I've taken it off afterwards. But, yeah, I'd say that's probably it. But in general, YouTube just seems to share the ones that are the most tutorial-like videos, because I guess they're the most popular ones and people watching them.
My favourites would probably be, I did like the gun law parody one, or whatever it was. Mr. Hoplophobia, whatever his name was. I don't remember what that video's called now. But yeah, that piss take one was good, but I've never ever... That had a green screen, or dressed up as a character. And also, from that, some of my other favourites was some of my film club ones, because they're more fun, and they're different. Yeah, that Gun UK Laws parody one, that got a hell of a lot of views and a lot of comments on it. It was enjoyable interacting with that video, because people did find that really funny, and I thought it was, I don't know, terrible acting. But it was good. It was supposed to be bad anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Alright, Captain Electro said, if you could get any tattoo, what and where would it be?
I'd probably get a really good realistic gas mask tattoo about there on my arm. That way you can cover it if you need to for a certain sort of job or whatever with a long sleeve shirt. But I'd quite like a Mark 4 or Mark 5 gas mask, I think. A bit like if... There's obviously I've got the S10 on this one, but that sort of style, like how Bart had done it, but sort of on my arm. But I've never really seriously looked into it, but there you go.
No, weird enough, I've got tattoos, but I'm not really into tattoos. The only things because I don't like, it's hard to explain, but I don't tend to like things enough to want a tattoo of it. Like, I love guns and weapons and that, but I've never thought I want one of them tattooed on me. The only thing the closest thing I've ever come to a tattoo was possibly something, maybe a quote or something from the Dark Tower, possibly, which is a Stephen King book. Or the only other ones I thought of was possibly over your heart or somewhere important, if it'll make sense in a second, saying your blood type and to definitely revive you. Stuff like that. So when they open your chest, you know, it says what your blood type is, you definitely want reviving, or whatever would be important. But yeah, that's about it really, Electra. Krylon said, What is one EDC item that you both keep on you at all times?
Right, I can show mine. I've got my tablet case on me, and when I say tablet, I don't mean like a mobile type thing. I mean tablets. Now, I don't want to tilt this up too much that they all fall out, but I've got things in here, like with my inhaler as well in this pocket, where, you know, different medications that I need so I can keep them on me all the time, like painkillers and other ones that just help with my health, and obviously the inhaler for, you know, meaning that if I get an asthma attack or whatever, I can actually cope with it.
Anything else?
No, that's mine.
Sure.
Well, I've got my tactical pen as well, but I thought it was just
You
one
don't
sort
always
of
have
thing.
it on you?
Well, I've got this on me most of the time, but yeah, I was just sort of picking that as my main thing. But yeah, tactical pen as well, because it's handy for writing with. Main use of it. It's always annoying when you're out somewhere and want to write something down, really, you haven't got a pen.
My EDC item that I always have on me in the house happens to be this knife. It's pretty much always in my pocket, just out of habit. Never ever take it out though, because it is it's not a legal carry. But yeah, that tends to be on me more than anything, in all honesty, really. Yeah. Out and about, a completely different story though. But yeah, it tends to be that. I'll tell you what it is specifically. It's a Ganzo G729. If you want to look them up. Quite a nice knife. Right, I'm going to answer this one on my own. Slingshot said, when are you going to make Liam's slingshot? So I'll be making it soon, mate. I've had a bit of delay, so maybe within a month. And are you and Liam going to meet up soon? Well, yes, right now. He's here right now. So yes. My name's ICG said, what is your favourite multi-tool and why?
I don't have many multi-tools, but the one I've got that I do like is, I think it's actually a Ganzo one, the same company that does the knives. And it's got pliers on there, wire cutters, and lots of things you have on a Swiss Army knife. Sort of different screwdriver attachments and, all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty practical. I've actually used that with the screwdriver and stuff to do work with before. So yeah, that's a pretty good one. It's a nice solid metal one that's, as good as a Leatherman really, but a lot cheaper.
I don't actually have a proper, I've got no real name multi-tool. I've got one in there which is, it's not quite, like with a Leatherman the blades are in two parts of the handle. It's not like that. It's a pair of pliers with a handle and the blades are in that, just one side. That's my most used one, but it's a cheap one. I've never really had, I had a Ganzo one, but I sold it. Yeah, my most used one is a cheap multi-tool basically. Does the job, got pliers on it. CW Outdoors said, who is the best shot? Shoot off in the garden. Right, so we're going to go outside now and have a shoot for you, Carl. Right, so who's the better shot? So it'll be 17 metres, freestanding with 2.2 Webley Stingray Deluxe. We'll have a shoot and then we'll show you the target, Carl.
So 3 shots.
Yours is that side.
The left one or the right?
Right.
Right. There we go.
Right. Right, let's go and have a look, shall we? I'll get the target.
Oh, is it me somehow?
Right. I'll get this in a close up here. Liam's then.
Yeah. Not surprised me, but there we go.
There you go. Liam's the better shot. Right, so you know one. So Liam's better shot, Carl.
That's probably just luck of the draw, isn't it, on the day?
That was quite difficult shooting actually. That was stood up with the scope. Yeah, and that was as far distance as I could get. It was about 17 metres, Carl, I think.
Well, the sunlight was sort of in the wrong angle as well and everything.
Novice Prepper said, before or during a shit hit fan situation, where would you say is the best place to bug out to and places to avoid? Or would it be a case of get out of towns and cities or stay close to them for the best amenities and supplies?
It might depend on the situation, but I think in most shit hit the fan things, people would want to be getting out of the cities as like a priority. Because the thing is, you don't really have food growing in the city and stuff like that, do you? So other than supplies people might loot, once that's gone, it's gone. And disease and fires and things would spread very easily in the city, as well as the population that might be hostile to you.
The city, definitely. I'll answer this at the same time as Liam, because I pretty much agree with everything he says there. You definitely want to get out of the city, I reckon. Suburban areas are slightly different. You might want to bug in until you have to bug out, but I would always make sure I had an option to bug out, because you don't want to stay somewhere until you die, You know, if it gets to a stage where you're going to die by bugging in, you want to leave, don't you?
But yeah, like we've said before, it makes more sense, doesn't it, to bug in until you're forced to bug out, rather than just simply saying, all right, I'm getting my bag and leaving as soon as there's no need to, basically.
Exactly. Leo said, what got you two into weapon collecting?
I've been asked this a lot of times, and I never have a really specific answer, I'm afraid. I found history quite interesting when I was younger and like reading up on medieval stuff and things like that. My granddad was in the Second World War and he told me lots of stuff about that. So it's just probably a combination of finding lots of things interesting and then, you know, thinking, oh, I can actually own some of this stuff, and then get a real sort of feel for it rather than just looking at pictures in the book or whatever.
In all honesty, I don't know what started me off. The only thing I can think of is possibly just being a kid, playing with toys, you know, playing with toy guns. That evolved into making my own toy guns. That evolved into getting penknives, liking Arnold Schwarzenegger films that's full of weapons. Also, my dad had weapons as well, so I've seen weapons as a kid and liked the look of them, sort of thing. And it just kept evolving to penknives turned to sheath knives, toy guns turned to BB guns, BB guns turned into air rifles, and then look at me now. Just never stops. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what got me into it, just sort of always have been almost. Yeah, or toys I suppose. Bob the Metal Guy, if you were going into a justified street brawl with a gang of thugs to protect your home and family, what weapon would you choose to fight off a mob?
Obviously totally theoretical, we're not going to get done up on this.
People try to kill you, so you sort of...
probably a pickaxe handle, because they're quite good as clubs and they've got a bit of reach to them, a lot of weight. Or the only other thing I might choose is my bokken, just because when we were doing the riot armour test quite a while ago, the bokken actually hit the hardest through the riot armour. So it has got quite a punch to it, and it's easy to wield the bokken because it's the same sort of, you know, aerodynamics of a katana, really.
Right, mine would be, it would be some kind of club. The pickaxe, that was a very good answer. So I would have something like a pickaxe. The only thing it would have to have on it for me, Bob, got to have a lanyard on it. If you're going to use any striking weapon against people, you've got to have a lanyard on it so that someone can't take it off you. That's the only thing I always think. So yeah, any very pickaxe perfect or any kind of very heavy weighted club or something with a decent bit of reach, very good lanyard on it, stuff it being pulled out your hands basically. Yeah, so similar answers to you really. Iron Man Spartan said, favourite movie ending, any genre?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd say probably the ending of Doctor Strangelove, where they've been talking about nuclear annihilation for the entire film. Spoilers, obviously, for this sort of thing. It ends up happening, and then they start having a arms race towards building the best sort of vaults or bunkers, a mine shaft gap, for their sort of rebreeding program. And then it ends with Vera Lynn's "We'll Meet Again," while lots and lots of nuclear bombs go off. It's sort of a dark comedy ending.
That is a good film, though. I do like that ending. Mine would probably be, this is a bit of a weird one for me. The ending to Good, the Bad, the Ugly is good. I do like the ending to that. You didn't have a chance to think about that, did you? No. So even with me thinking about it, I still struggled. The ending to The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is very good. I like the whole, right up until when they go into the cemetery, the whole sequence right up to when he shoots the rope again, basically. Like that's a good ending. But a very memorable ending to a film to me is the end of Goodfellas. I don't know why, because it's not even a good ending. It's I think it's something about the music for that ending. Because basically making it is a grass really, so it's not really a... But I don't know, there's something about the end of Goodfellas I've always liked. I think it's just the way it's filmed, the music. Yeah, you'd have to see it to know what I'm on about. But yeah, something about the end of Goodfellas always... As soon as I read that question, that was the first thing that popped into my head. Weirdly, I don't know why. Marcus Brackley said, in a proper shit in the fan situation, would you be prepared to eat domestic animals, as in cats and dogs, even if they were your own pets, or not, and not just someone else's?
I mean, the sad reality of something like that is probably yes, but the thing is I don't really have any pets worth eating, so I'd just starve them, wouldn't I?
I would definitely eat dog and that, and I would never eat a dog in this country, because it's not normal, is it? But I think if you went to a country where people was eating dogs and it's acceptable, you know, because we eat cows, and in other countries that's unacceptable. Or pigs even, isn't it? So, but, shit hit the fan, definitely. I don't know how easy it's going to be to eat your own dog, though. But as you said, if you're actually starving to death, and it's life or death, you'd have to, really, wouldn't you? Would you choose your own life and die, and let a dog live, sort of thing? But yeah, but I reckon eating your own pet would be very difficult. Ninja81 said, what's your favourite firearm?
Alright, out of all the ones I've got in my collection, and historically, probably the R1A1 SLR, which I can't point to it on the wall behind me on this one because I'm in Mike's house, not mine, but it was the British-built version of the FN FAL, so the battle rifle known as the right arm of the free world. As popular as the AK was for the sort of bad guy gun, the gun of communism, the FAL was that for the Western world during the Cold War, for most of it, and then like M16s and everything took over later on, but it's got a nice bit of history behind it, and it's not an obvious choice as some people would pick for something like an AK or whatever, so it's, you know, a bit more interesting in that regard.
Well, mine would probably be, for what I own, the Chinese Type 86 bullpup rifle, because of how unusual it is. As for something I could own, I don't know. I always like the Desert Eagle. I always like this. Something about Desert Eagles, because it's an unusual shape, isn't it? Yeah. That'd be my answer to that. A bit short, but... Jim M. He said, like you, I live in the south. It's pretty rural where I am, but there's plenty of shitty towns and only 30 miles from London. Does it worry you that people around here don't have anywhere to run to when the shit hits the fan? I'd have to bug out 100 miles away to build my shack and grow some grub. So does it worry us?
No, I think the problem is, in some of these scenarios anyway that people talk about, you'd be so screwed regardless that I wouldn't worry too much about them. It's a bit like when people talk about nuclear war, you think if it goes off, you're fucked. So,
dead anyway, ain't you?
but the thing is, you could always, I guess, like if you said, load a load of stuff up into a car if possible and move away further. But again, it would all depend on the type of scenario, I think, wouldn't it? Because there's some scenarios which might be shit hit the fan, but it doesn't mean people like looting everywhere.
No, exactly. No, I agree with you pretty much with everything there. The thing with the shit hit the fan thing, it's so many variables in it. But I would say you certainly don't want to be in a city when it's full on rioting and stuff, would you? You know, buildings burning and you'd have to get out. You just have to get out anywhere really, wouldn't you? Alright, this is a good one. Just Now 69 said, what's the most unusual but fun thing you've both done?
Well, that's a hard one. I'll think about the weird things I've done on holiday. I'll tell you what was weird but unusual and very interesting and fun and everything was when I went to Poland, in Krakow, or Krakow, however it's pronounced, there's the salt mines there. And it's like a massive underground, almost like a Bond villain lair, where they've hollowed everything out,
yeah.
and there's these massive chambers, and they've made all these sculptures out of the salt and everything. So yeah, I'd say that was a very unusual and fun thing. I don't know if it was the most, but it's the only thing I can really think of that, you know, is very unusual in a sense, rather than just saying, you know, here's something, you know, normal that I've done, which was fun.
Right, now, this is a really hard one for me to answer, because I have done quite a few unusual things, but they weren't always necessarily fun afterwards. Well, when I look back on it, I've done some very strange things. You know, climbing on the outside of motorway bridges and stuff. You'd say that's unusual, or going in, like the manhole that we used to go in, I suppose. Unusual but fun. Maybe when I took acid with my friend, that was certainly unusual, and nothing really bad happened, so yeah, it was quite a laugh. But that was the time when I was getting freaked out. Isn't the right word, but couldn't handle being in a room, so I jumped out that bedroom window onto the roof. Yeah, and then that's when we went up the village, and then I thought I saw. I still to this day think I saw a film crew up there, but I don't know why there would be a film crew. But yeah, if I can answer this one better now, because I've had to think about this, and I couldn't really think of anything. Because I have a very bad memory nowadays as well. I like to write after stuff down like that I've done in my life because I can't remember it anymore. Used to drinking. I think of something else now. I'll let you know. Well, the last one on here is from Stu, WS94. He said, in both your opinions, what's the best draw weight for a crossbow in a shit hit fan situation?
I reckon, because it depends on what you can actually find on the market, because annoyingly a lot of the prods I've got now you can't seem to find for sale anywhere, but I reckon somewhere between about the 80 and £100 mark in terms of draw weight, because I've got the £105 prod, and that's pretty much perfect for draw weight in terms of power and accuracy, but, you know, not too difficult to cock, but you could probably go a bit lower than that and still get accuracy, because my £40 prod is accurate enough to about 10 yards and still penetrates well, but after that the accuracy falls off quite quickly because the bolt just starts doing that. So £80 on a full-size crossbow rather than a pistol crossbow might work, but I've not sadly seen any of the prods for sale, so I can't test them. But yeah, I'd say £80 to £100 sort of draw weight.
Yeah, I agree with you there, yeah. Anything, you know, when you start going up to 150, 175, it's tiring, don't need that much power. Yeah, about 100, as you said, 80 to 100, maybe 120, but you don't really need any more than that, I don't think, or a recurve for shit at a fan. How'd you say that name?
I assume it's a Polish name, but I'm afraid I can't pronounce it.
I'll guess then. Right, so Zjord, he said, would you buy an SF10 if you could?
Certainly, the SF10, for those of you that don't know, with the S10...
Including me.
It's the one that the SAS used, basically, with the dual filters. I don't know if they still use it anymore, but at the time...
Oh, they did, yeah.
I think it actually stood for Special Forces 10 rather than... S was just the name they used for all the respirators, but I think the SF10 was actually, you know, Special Forces 10 was the name they gave it. Yeah, definitely if I could get one that wasn't a stupid price. I've seen them on eBay before, but often, you know, for ones in okay condition, they're stupid money. So I wouldn't pay much more than I would for a regular S10, basically. But it's a bit like that with some other masks. If it's a very small variant change of a normal mask, I wouldn't pay loads for it, just because it potentially could have been used by somebody that most likely wasn't.
Weirdly enough, I didn't know what an SF10 was, but I said in my live stream earlier, if I was ever going to buy masks, it would be that type of mask, so yes I would. Matty Dolan said, what is your favourite medieval weapon?
Out of all the ones I've got, and loads of ones I've seen, probably the bill hook, and Richard Weaponsmith did me that really cool good bill hook, but because the bill hook's like it's a type of halberd really, you've got a thrusting bit on it, you've got an armour-piercing spike on the back, which you can grapple horsemen from the saddle with, and you've got the big cleaving blade on the front, which you can just, you know, bring down and chop arms off or whatever. In a theoretical medieval situation anyway, not run around today doing that, but yeah, I'd say the bill hook just because it's a very versatile thing, and I've actually used it gardening quite often to get rid of the really annoying ivy that grows everywhere, where it just rips that to shreds even when you can't use proper like tools on it.
Mine would probably be maces, I think. I don't own a lot of medieval.
What about medieval warhammers?
Yeah, warhammer I suppose. My one's a bit modern though, isn't it?
But they
Yeah,
did
the
have ones
Warhammers,
like that.
but the feel of that hammer, yeah, it'd be lovely. Yeah, do like Warhammer saying that. Yeah, maces. I don't know what it is. I've always liked maces, especially World War II maces. Not that we're on about that, but
Got the trench club kind of.
yeah, yeah, I do like a spiked club. Matty Dolan also asked, "What is the oldest gas mask you own?"
Right, the oldest one I own, and I get asked this a lot, and I still can't give a concrete answer to this, is I've got a couple of different sort of interwar prior to World War II masks, such as my Volksmask or Volksmask 37 would technically be a pre-World War II mask. Some of my British ones like the civilian mask, the civilian duty, maybe my Mark IV GSR. There's a lot that I've got that could be potentially built before World War II, but a lot of them, because the dates have worn off and the rubber, because they're so old or whatever, you can't really tell. So, any of those masks, really.
Right, mine would be, if I can even remember what my mask is.
Finish M61 V2.
There you go. How old's that, do you reckon?
Well,
You probably know, I don't know.
They were called the M61 because they went into service in 1961, as far as I'm aware. They're based off the USM9.
Well, they could be pretty old then, yeah, that's
Yeah,
quite old really.
But the V2 obviously wasn't the first generation, because the V1 I think was pretty much a direct copy of the USM9A1, which they're based on. Then the V2 was in production for the longest period, and then I think it was the 80s or whatever, they did the V3 with the voice diaphragm.
Or is any of them new ones you gave me older than that?
Probably not, because those ones are Cold War
right, yeah.
ones as well, other than the modern
I have
one.
got a, it's not mine though, but in
That
the
would
loft
be the
I've
oldest
got
one.
is that World War II?
Yeah, that's the civilian duty one.
Yeah.
I say
But
that's
that's
like,
not technically mine, but it is in the house. John's Life said, if you could have any firearm, what would it be?
Well, like I answered on the other question about what was my favourite firearm, I would love a functioning L1A1 SLR. But let's say it's a DIAC question where I could have another DIAC gun I don't currently own. I'm trying to think of a really cool one. What I would love, and I'm really annoyed I didn't buy this years ago, is the Set Me Model L. Because that was Spain's 5.56 rifle, I think, before they just ended up buying M16s from America. It had some problems with it, but it was a really cool sci-fi looking rifle. And D&B Military at one point had them like for £300 or something, and at the time I didn't have the spare money. And then it's one of those things now, I really wish I'd have bought it, because they look cool.
Price, really, isn't it, if you've got the money. I'm going to take this as a shooting firearm if I had a firearms licence. Now, I don't know. Some kind of 2.2 rifle. Ruger 1022, is that the one with the little mag? And
Yeah, it's the really popular one in the States.
Maybe one of those. I reckon that would be quite an all-round... You know, you could use it for things, but it'd also be quite a fun gun to shoot.
You can practice with it, plink with it, hunt small game with it. Yeah, it does everything.
That's probably
really
what I would pick for a fully working firearm with a licence. Right, Matty Dolan again asked, if you could buy one thing from the dark web, what would it be? I don't even know whether this would be answerable.
I'm trying to think what would be legal, because I'm obviously not going to say I'm going to buy this illegal.
What about tablets?
I suppose I could...
Antibiotics for stashing away for shit at the fan.
That's a good one. What Mike's just thought of. Yeah, you could buy things that technically...
That's about it, really, because anything else is just illegal.
Yeah, it's just like literally buying drugs or whatever else. I'm trying to think if there's stuff over here that's technically legal to own, but nowhere really sells it. Because that, like you said, with antibiotics. Because I suppose if they had ulcerative colitis medication for me on there that was long.
That's the only thing I could think of, though, because the thing is, everything is just illegal anyway. So, you know what I mean. Laser Point Productions said, do you recall your first gas mask filter?
And it's actually the same for Mike and me. It's the M61's filter, if you can find it. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. That filter, because my first mask was an M61 V2, and weirdly that was Mike's as well. I think it's just
and this is the one. This is the actual ones for me.
So I think it was just because they were probably quite common on the UK surplus market at one point. But yeah, my filter for that still works. I mean, I don't know which was the original filter now, because I've got a couple of M61 filters where I've just got in my local army surplus store before they closed. They used to do them for like £1.50 each, those filters sealed.
Did they?
So yeah, you could look at the dates on the shelf and then pick a load. But yeah, they did work pretty well actually, but I guess it was just because they were sealed quite well. again, I wouldn't trust my life on them at that age, but
yeah,
in terms of air freshener and smelly things, you couldn't smell anything through them.
They're not nowadays, so that's cheap as anything, isn't it? Preston said, favourite World War II gun?
Right. Out of all of them, in some ways, probably the M1 carbine. I've got one on my wall, and the M1 carbine was a really good sort of, although it couldn't be used at all that long ranges, it was very lightweight, very compact and comfortable to shoot, very effective. America used it to great effect in the Pacific campaign, so all around a good gun. But I also like the Lee Enfields, Bren guns. Some of the German guns like the Sturmgewehr 44 are really cool as well. There's lots of good choices for World War II, but I think the M1 carbine was kind of a bit like an assault rifle, but before assault rifles were really a thing.
He named mine Bren gun. Always liked the Bren gun to the amount that I even owned a deactivated Bren gun once. I had to sell it in the end. It was a bit too big. It's very hard to display a Bren gun. The hooks you would need to put it on a wall.
It's almost like a coffee table gun,
yeah,
isn't it?
it is. But yeah, lovely, and it dry fired and everything. Yeah, absolutely loved that, but just it was uneconomical to keep at the time. I would like to have another one of those. But yeah, there's something about the Bren gun because it's an unusual looking gun as well. Yeah, definitely Bren gun.
Not that many guns, is there, with a mag in the top?
No, because even to the degree where it's in the way of the sights, and the sights are offset.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite an unusual design, but it works. Video Base said, what's your favourite Mad Max film and weapon?
Right, my favourite Mad Max film, as much as I like the new one, Fury Road, my favourite Mad Max is Mad Max 2, or The Road Warrior, whatever you want to call it. Just because they did a lot of those hardcore stunts, you know, in real life, where they could have died doing them, jumping from lorries and cars and all that sort of stuff. Favourite Mad Max gun? I mean, I can't think of many guns in Mad Max.
Or weapon.
Or weapon. Well, probably some of them are arm-mounted crossbows they have then, because I said otherwise it's just sort of rusty old shotguns.
Mine would be definitely the arm crossbow. I even made one, an arm crossbow. But my favourite Mad Max film would probably be the first one. I'm quite into revenge films, and that's it's a revenge. Bit of, you know, good bit of revenge.
The thing that ruined Mad Max 1 for me is when I watched Mad Max 1, I saw the American dubbed version, because on the DVD...
that's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to, because it's quite a campy film.
No, I like Mad Max 1, but that's saying the thing that ruined it when I first watched it is on the DVDs now, right? If you go and buy it on DVD, the American dub is the audio it automatically selects.
Yeah.
You have to go in the audio options to select the original Australian one.
No, I must have got lucky with it.
So yeah, they've got it all overdubbed, and it ruins the whole feel of the film, because they cut out as well a lot of stuff in the background where you hear them saying on stuff like the radio, you know, that the oil prices are going up and all this stuff that's the world building stuff. They cut that out because they didn't want to bother dubbing that with an American voice in the background as well. So it's just...
Yeah, I can understand why that would sort of spoil it.
It is a good film, Mad Max 1.
Right, Frosty said, do you have any pets? And this is the last question, by the way.
Out of the pets I have at the moment, I have one rabbit and I have one fish, and we have a budgie. So going back to people saying, would you eat your pets earlier? It might have been Marcus, I can't remember. You get rabbit starvation if you eat rabbits anyway, and there's only one, and it's a Netherland dwarf, so she's not even big. The fish is just a tiny little clown loach, and a budgie is...
At least you'd have more to eat than me. I'd have that frog in the garden, maybe, that we saw earlier.
I think I'd probably just turn into a cannibal at that stage rather than eat my pets. But but I volunteer at an animal shelter, so I work with dogs and cats and rabbits.
No. I haven't got any pets. The last pet we had here, we did have a rabbit that died a couple of years ago. That was supposed to be a miniature rabbit, and it turned out it was a full-size rabbit when it actually grew bigger. And we did have a pet female blackbird a couple of years ago as well. That was sort of rescued. Would have died otherwise. Yeah, we've got no pets here at the minute. Probably nearly had a pet bird recently, but I decided to just let it go instead of... Because I'll tell you what, having a pet wild bird is sort of cruel anyway, unless they're injured and can't look after themselves ever. You know, if they've got a permanently broken wing, you'll die anyway. But it's a lot of work as well. You know, shitting everywhere. And, you know, I mean, that's just a bird, but that blackbird would literally shit everywhere. So yeah, no pets for me. So yeah. So that's the end of the Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. It's probably gone on for nearly 40 minutes, I think. I'm not sure. Can't see the timer at the minute, but yeah. Right, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.
Cheers.